With the primary election less than 2 weeks away, one big question looms in the GOP race for governor. Will former President Trump endorse a candidate? News 8's Byron Tollefson has more on that, plus why some candidates want the former president to stay away from the primary.
Brian, in this primary election cycle, a Trump endorsement has generally helped candidates win their races. It hasn't happened every time, but one notable example is the Ohio Senate race, where J.D. Vance was behind in the polls until Trump endorsed him just weeks before the race. Vance ended up winning by nearly 10%. The question is, would that swing the race for a candidate in Michigan?
That a Trump endorsement might have a pretty significant impact on what otherwise looks to be a fairly close race.
The Republican candidates for Michigan governor have made it clear they are pro-Trump. But with the primary election less than 2 weeks away now, not everyone wants him to weigh in on the race.
I really feel the people just need to choose, and we don't need outside influence. And if we get that, then of course, if he wants to come in or any other person wants to come and endorse, that is fine. But let the people choose.
We've already had so many votes cast, and we have a very short period of time now. Let's let the voters decide here who they think is the most America first.
Well, there's certainly some people who've already voted. But my guess is that most folks who ultimately will vote in the Republican primary have yet to cast the ballot.
John Clark, the political science chair at Western Michigan University, says a Trump endorsement will make a difference, no matter how late it is in the race.
If I were one of the 5 candidates running for the Republican nomination for governor in Michigan, I would want Donald Trump to endorse me. Even if it were on, election eve, I'd still want that endorsement.
Clark speculates there may be a different reason why some candidates don't want Trump to weigh in.
That for those candidates that think they're less likely to get the endorsement, it makes sense to try and keep President Trump out of the mix.
A notable exception, Tudor Dixon, who welcomes the former president's endorsement.
I would love to see President Trump come in for me.
Dixon says she's talked to Trump recently and says he's very interested in Michigan. No matter who wins the Republican nomination for governor, Clark says they will need to expand beyond the Trump base in order to beat Governor Whitmer in November.
They can't simply have the sort of Trumpian faction of the Michigan Republican Party in their camp. That's not going to win the general election. They're going to have to find votes from other places. And so it'll be an interesting pivot, I think, for any of the 5 of them.
Kelly and Saldano said they would accept the former president's endorsement if he does weigh in. The primary is August 2nd, and polls have shown the race to be a toss-up. In the newsroom, Byron Tollefson, News 8.